Other interesting political news, you have Nikki Haley posting a poll showing that she would beat Biden at 59% and Biden at 41% on her ex-Twitter profile, which I did smirk a little bit. I will admit I did smirk a little bit at that statement, but was able to say it without technically laughing out loud, so I'm a little proud of myself right there. Now, Nikki Haley said specifically, quote, breaking, the new national MU law poll shows I beat Biden by 18 points. Trump is again within margins of error. Republicans have been losing under Trump over the past 7 years. Let's make Republicans great again. Let's make Republicans great again, unquote. And that is laughable because, again, a lot of her policies, they're more Democratic, which, again, if you want to run as a Democrat, just do that. But a lot of people are saying she's the definition of a rhino, which is a pejorative term for Republicans who are just Republicans in name only. So they run the Republican, messaging, but once they get in the office, all their votes are just in line with the values and policies of Democrats. And what blows my mind is when people keep re-electing those people. Because, again, if you don't like it, vote them out. Even if you feel so politically aligned, primary them yourself. Get them out so you have the people who you want to represent you. And I would say people on the left should do this too, but fascinatingly, oh, geez Louise, I definitely could use some speaking lessons, some might argue, but I have a theory. I'm not a doctor by any means, but if you click the subscribe button, it may help with my speaking ineptitudes. I say this because when I first started the show, I didn't have a lot of subscribers, and I had a lot more misspeakings. I spoke a lot faster, believe it or not, stumble over my words, mispronounce things. However, as we've gained subscribers, I have become a little bit more articulate. Some might argue it's just a modicum of success, but I would argue it is a little bit, nevertheless. So if you could click that button, again, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, again, going back to Nikki Haley, and I say, Republicans are rhinos in name only, fascinatingly enough, I've never seen, a Democrat do that. They, in terms of marketing, they do what they run on. They say they're Democrat, they have these beliefs, these philosophies. They're going to vote for those when they go to D.C., and they do. It's seemingly only Republicans that flip more often than not. Now, again, this poll was conducted by Marquette University between February 5th and February 15th, 2024, and I really wish I'm not seeing it. She doesn't actually link to the actual study. So, let's see here. So, Marquette University, Nikki Haley. If we're lucky, I'll be able to find it. Marquette University, poll, Nikki Haley, Biden. Let's see. MarquetteUniversity.com. Where's Nikki Haley? Nikki Haley, 42%. Where's the poll sample size? Because they have many polls. One's from May to February. Let's see. The poll was surveyed 800. All right, so not the best sample size. So Nikki Haley didn't put this on. Again, it'd be really nice if they put a link to the actual study, because, again, you want to know your sample size. You want to know, because, again, probably one of the few things I learned in college was business statistics. And based on how you ask the question and what your sample size is and how you choose your sample size, you can get whatever result you basically want. So going to this, it looks like the survey consisted of 882 registered voters nationwide. So relatively small sample size. You usually want to, not the rule of thumb, but more often than not, I see political polls where it's usually between maybe 1,200 and 2,000 people, which, again, it's still relative to the U.S., a very small sample size. They say it's nationwide, so that's a little bit better than obviously just having it in one state, which more often than not could be leaning left or right, or it's a swing state. And they know there's a margin of error of plus or minus 4.5 percentage points for likely voters. Let's see here. And again, the poll was actually between Haley and Biden. So again, not that there's anything wrong with that question, but I'd love to see more polls where it's Nikki Haley, Trump, and Biden. Because again, she's highlighting the polls where she wins 59% to 41%, her over Biden, and then the poll has Trump beating Biden 52% to Biden 48%. So again, it shows that she is getting some Biden votes. I suspect that's because, well, she has a lot of Biden's policies, and and that's not too much of a surprise. But again, that's in a poll where they don't have that option of Trump. And a lot of these primaries, a lot of these polls, there's a lot of people who are traditional Democrats actually voting in these Republican polls, Republican primaries, that are kind of skewing the data like they have not historically in the past. And I think that's one of the reasons we see, again, she's still way far away from Trump, the poll aggregators. We're talking, 40 plus points difference. Like, it is almost comical. But yeah, I can't but think, still, she is getting funding more and more. So that's, that's a contributing factor to why she's also running too. And that's helping her out. Now, she got, as youth might say, ratioed. She had 431,000 people tune into this in the first 24 hours. And only 3.3 thousand people liked it, which is one of the worst ratios we've seen while covering this show. Now, I suspect it'd be fascinating. Maybe she's turned around her social media, her marketing campaign. Maybe everyone's going to give her accolades and congratulations in the comments section. They'll say, we're all in on Nikki or something to that effect. Probably not. It has never happened before. But perhaps a more interesting question would be, will she achieve the Chris Christie effect? A fascinating political phenomenon where we've seen twice an instance where Chris Christie will post something on social media and 0 people will give him a positive response, which is mathematically impossible because conceivably he has things like family, friends, allegedly a campaign team, and yet none of them would take the 1.5 seconds to type out a comment and give him a little bit of credit. It happened twice. And again, we were covering him more when he was running or walking for the Republican nominee, for presidential nominee. And that happened twice where there's just no positive comments. So it'll be fascinating to see if Nikki Haley achieves that. There are 3.3 thousand comments, so I was going to say we don't have all day, so I'll just go read the top, 10 or so. I don't think she'll achieve that result, but perhaps close. Let's dive in the comments and see what people have to say. One of the first ones comes from Paul Zazupa, who says, quote, breaking, Nikki Haley continues to get absolutely crushed in her home state of South Carolina. It's even worse for Haley nationwide. She's lost every single primary in a landslide, and that's not changing. Haley's campaign is over, and she's just wasting millions on her vanity. And that poll aggregator that Paul posted, and again, that's a average of all the political polls, so it's a little bit better than just an individual poll, I would argue. And that is Trump at 77.7% and Nikki Haley at 16.4%. So again, a comical delta, aka difference between the two. And that got 484 likes for that particular statement. Tony Segura says, quote, your delusional, tricky Nikki is funded by Democrats. And looks like there's a couple news articles where they say top Democrat donor Reid Hoffman gives $250,000 to Nikki Haley's super PAC. They also, another one says Haley's 2024 bid gets cash from group led by investor Matt Kohler. It looks like, and Kohler has historically funded people who are Democrats. And that did get 370 likes. So another roast, as you might say. Let's see. Going down more, we got just some ladies saying, quote, unfortunately, you have to win the primary to run in the general election, and that isn't going to happen. And I got 290 likes. A lot of people reposting the little infographic or the poll aggregator showing the big difference between Trump and Nikki Haley. Bradley Brewer says, quote, this is a moot point. You won't be the nominee. Enjoy the charade, but let's not kid ourselves. Getting 115 likes. Let's see here. Are there any positive ones? A lot of people having picture compilations of her with Hillary Clinton, saying she's like Clinton 2.0. Those are getting about 100 likes. And I should say, for the record, there's totally nothing wrong with Hillary Clinton. One of the nicest, most honest, moral person in history. Absolutely. I should say also that I love life and I intend to live it as much as possible. She's totally an honest, moral, great person, I'm assured. Again, I love life and want to live it to the fullest, for the record. Now, going to other comments, you have Georgia Bell saying, quote, you put your name on the useless Nevada primary ballot because you knew Trump didn't, and you thought you were going to be able to claim the, quote, one Nevada primary. Girl power. And the Republican primary had her at 30.8%, and the other one was none, and it got 62.9%. And that got 67 likes. Now, Doug also said, quote, same poll shows you losing to Trump by 59 points. So it looks like that same poll, they also asked the other questions when you're comparing, And this person's awesome. They actually did, give us the copies, or it does show us the sample size, all that we reviewed a minute ago. Which again, I guess we shouldn't be too surprised Nikki Haley didn't give us a link to that poll, because that transparency shows it's not that great. David Tapley simply said Nikki Haley, and it's a GIF of Trump saying "You are fake news," getting 40 likes. Let's see here. Jay Han says, quote, "I'm sure it's totally legit, no bias or anything," quote, getting 33 likes. The Appalachian Podcast says, quote, "Now do the Trump versus you poll," and I got 34 likes. So as youth might say, he was roasted, and to say the least. Or ratioed, I believe is the other fancy popular term. And again, there's really not a chance. The only odds she has is if Trump does get somehow arrested, or if he is, many would argue, politically persecuted, so that he cannot technically run. In which case, talk about the curveball of the century. I don't think there would be a lot of, the polls show actually that no Republican would be happy with her running, because she has been in last place for most of the whole race to go for the Republican nominee. She was near last for most of the time. She beat out a couple of them, but overwhelmingly what people wanted, a majority of the time, again, the polls changed every couple weeks. So there's a couple times where she was beating Vivek, there's a couple times he was beating her, but overwhelmingly people were voting for Trump. And then the second was DeSantis, before DeSantis shot himself in the high-heeled boots with a .50 caliber, aka destroyed his campaign with some of the worst marketing I've seen in my life. It's almost the Bud Light of politics. And it'll be interesting to see, but let me know. What are your thoughts? Do you think Nikki really has a snowball's chance in hell, or why do you think she's continuing to run? And they're continuing to give her more and more money. As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, I'm trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback so I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.